What are some of the most common things slowing down B2B websites? Number one, large images. Large, uncompressed, unoptimized images are the number one culprit we see behind slow loading pages and therefore websites. Everybody publishing content to your website needs to know that they're not to upload raw 10 megabit stock photos. They need to be optimized for the web. They need to be compressed as well. Platforms can do some image optimization on the fly, but it's always more effective if the original image is optimized to begin with, and then the software that you use can take it from there. So large images are the number one culprit to be avoided. Similarly, large auto-playing videos can have the same impact and should be reviewed with care. Video is a very powerful medium that has lots of positive use cases, but large automatically playing videos on your homepage or on your product pages can have a really detrimental effect to performance and user experience, so consider those. Unoptimized animations, just like video, can equally impact the performance of your pages, as well as distracting, so it's something else to review and use with care and intention, as opposed to going overboard with it. Staying on design and content, loading in too many custom fonts or loading in fonts incorrectly can cause both page load performance issues and also user experience glitches that people observe when they first visit the page. So it's yet another thing to make sure that the people developing your site and the people publishing to your content know exactly what they're doing to make sure that all performs to the best possible level. Looking at the code side of things, the number one culprit for slow loading websites is often a large number of tracking scripts left on the website. It's by all means acceptable to use tracking scripts to gather important data, for example, to track conversions on campaigns or to create heat maps, but it's best to remove those scripts when they're not being used, because every additional script, whether it's in their header or the footer, can have a really negative impact on page load speed, on your core Web Vitals performance, and on the user experience. So it's best to keep them to a minimum, and they often grow over time, so something to review. In addition, it takes a developer to do some of these, but it's important to ensure that there aren't too many HTTP requests, there aren't too many files, be they CSS or image or another type, being loaded for each single page view, as it can cause a performance impact. You want to make sure that code is minimized. Unminified code will take a longer time to load with each page view. And you want to make sure that you've used the relevant compression techniques on both your text and your images so that they load quickly. Lazy load also another thing to implement when it comes to images, to make sure that only images that are in the browser's field of view are loaded until they're required. The quality of code also has an impact, and it's therefore advantageous to work with developers who know how to write lean, crafted code that doesn't unnecessarily duplicate itself and doesn't bloat your site. Website CSS and JavaScript being a key candidate that can be, if poorly written, a big impact negatively on your page performance. One of the things that can inadvertently create some of the problems we've just outlined are the use of plugins. Plugins are a powerful tool that many marketers like to make use of, particularly on certain popular open source CMSs, but each one comes at a cost. That cost can be performance as well as the need to update, maintain, and potential vulnerabilities. But with more and more plugins, you're going to see more and more server-side HTTP requests, more and more calls to external systems potentially, more and more code being loaded with each page view. So over time, those can accumulate and they can negatively impact page performance too. So as with tracking scripts, fewer plugins is always going to be better, and reviewing them all the time to make sure that you don't have plugins that you're no longer using loading resources is a good practice to make sure your site performs optimally. If you can operate without plugins at all, then I highly recommend it, because usually they introduce features that are nice to have rather than critical to have and come at a cost.